Hi, this is Justin from the Methodist School of Music, and thank you for coming down to watch this video. Over the course of 2 nights, I conducted a webinar series entitled Production 101, Audio and Video Editing for Beginners. Night 1 was audio editing, and Night 2 was video editing. As the videos are quite long, I have included timestamps in the description box to help you navigate the various sections of the videos so that if you need the most help with a particular section, you can just jump right to that. If you have any questions, I encourage you to put them in the comment box below so that everyone can benefit from having a discussion about a technical issue that you may have. Who knows, you might have the same issue that everyone else is experiencing. If you do feel that you still need to send a private email, do write to the address below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you do like what you see, do consider subscribing and hitting that bell notification button so that when new content comes out, it will come straight to you. It will really help us out. Do also consider following our Facebook page where we will be putting out notices and you'll be up to date as to when our new webinars will be coming out so that you can be a part of all this teaching. So grab that favorite cup of coffee and sit down and let's get started with the learning. Heavenly Father, this evening is going to be one where we have many technical terms to understand. It's going to be one where we will have to go through things that we've not done before. So I pray for the Holy Spirit of wisdom to touch our minds, to empower us, to encourage us, that even though these are very new, very difficult terms, some even mind-boggling terms, some things that we've never experienced before, I pray for courage to overcome the fear of not putting out a video, courage to overcome the fear of perfectionism. I pray for your Spirit to guide our thoughts and our minds and help us to internalize, digest, and ultimately honor you with all that we will do tonight. This we ask, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, let's start. Okay, just like yesterday's webinar, I have basically 3 sections to go through. I'm going to go through the slides from sections 1 and 2 very quickly, and then section 3 is going to be a live demo so that we can, so that I can show you the program straight away. When the slides go out, you're able to click on these links that I send out. So you can reach me on my email, you can reach me on my DMs on Instagram, and you can reach me on my YouTube channel as well. I will respond to all 3 avenues of communication. Hit me up and talk to me if you have a question that you want to ask. So because there's a lot of content tonight, I may not be able to take a Q&A at the end. So what will happen is if you have a specific contextual problem that you want to address from your church, your organization, your situation, I encourage you to reach out to me and send me an email. I will respond. Okay, so tonight's plan, we're going to have an introduction to video, and then there are going to be concepts to understand. So there's some terms that I'm going to throw at you, and hopefully not just throw at you, but hopefully allow you to grasp and understand why some of these terms are used. All right, and then as I said, we're going to do a live demo, and then we're going, I'll show you the program. I'll show you Windows Movie Maker. So tonight I was given the challenge of putting together a worship video using Windows Movie Maker, the free one that is, the free video editor that is included. And it's, I have to say though, it's a bit different from the Windows Movie Maker I remember when I started YouTube. Because right now I think it's a little harder to navigate. It's a little harder. It's like they strip away some of the functions that I remember were in the original Windows Movie Maker, and I half suspect it's because they want you to spend money to buy and upgrade to other video editing programs. But I hope that by tonight you will see that although yes, it's stripped down and a bit more kankor to work with, a bit more troublesome, I hope to show you that it is possible to work with Windows Movie Maker. Okay, so let's start with the creative process. Yesterday I showed you a creative process, what the engineer is involved with. Today I'm going to talk to you about the video editor, and there are 2 things that the video editor is a part of, and that is he is involved with editing. So he's like the second last person in the chain. He receives the audio file, the mastered audio file from all the mixing of the song, all the mixing of the instruments, the mixing of the vocals. Once that is done, that master file gets sent to the video guy. Now the video guy's job is to take all the video submissions, all the recordings from, let's say, your handphone here, and to mesh it and put it together, sync it all up to produce the end product. And then, but that's not the end, that is not the end of the line. The end of the line actually is the revision process, right at the end. The stakeholders that are all involved, your audio guy, your video guy, your basically the production guys, the church leadership, and the worship leader, music director. All these stakeholders should be consulted and talked to when we are in the revision phase. This is where you will get feedback, comments on stuff like, oh, I think the intro is a bit too long, let's have a longer fade in. I think that this particular angle, you can see too much of this thing that might be distracting might be a bit too distracting, so can you crop out, can you cut out the little section of the video? So stuff like this is where the video editor is involved with, okay? So the key word here is they must come together and agree. Now, I think that we need to understand that as production people and as people, then the creative people as part of this process, we are not in spiritual authority. We're not in the position of authority. That's your worship leaders, that's your worship committee, that's your pastor, whoever it is who's in charge. And I think we should humble ourselves to honor and listen to some of the things, the requests that they have. They may not agree with you. They may not agree with you creatively, because creative people, we're a bit arty-farty. We like to have we like to preserve our work. It's my work, my baby, Then you say it like that, then you feel really terrible about it. Don't take it too personally. Church leadership and pastors have a certain view on things that they have. They are your leaders and they are accountable to the whole church. So just know that if they do ask you to change something down the process, and you spend hours on this, and then that one change will cause you to maybe roll back a few changes, roll back maybe half an hour, 2 hours of work, it's okay. Trust that God is using your leaders and speaking through your leaders. All right. So our task in worship video production is to bring the creative vision of the song to life. So if you're the video person, if you're the one in charge of video, you should be involved in both pre and post-production. Pre-production, that's when remember I said in the webinar yesterday that when you come together, the team has to come together, the worship team, the worship leader, the music director, the pastor too, if possible, anyone in leadership. They should talk about this, like maybe what songs are going to be shared or going to be done for the week. And then if you're the production crew, the video guy, you should be putting some input too. They should hear your input, because if the song is like, let's say, if you're doing the Kyrie eleison, it's Lord have mercy, right? It's actually a very pensive, it's a song that, if you sing the Kyrie, it's actually meant to be remorseful or pensive, right? Because you're confessing, this is confessing of sin. Then you shouldn't be wearing bright colors. The video guy is the one who says, yeah, let's not wear bright colors, let's not smile too much and be happy about it, because the Kyrie is meant to be a time where we confess sin, for example. And then on the flip side, if the song is a happy song, the video guy should be the one to say, you know what, let's think about the visual element. What kind of color do we need to wear in order to bring up the message of the song, in order to be congruent with the song. Sometimes what your shirt colors, like your shirt colors and your background colors, may make a difference to the video. And particularly for those of you, I know some of you, I saw the church profile, you're from more liturgical, more traditional backgrounds where visual elements do matter. So as the visual person, I think your pastor will be very happy to hear that you're making input of, yeah, you know what, this is the season where we should wear a white colored shirt, like the first week of Easter. If we're doing a video for first week of Easter, we should wear white color, for example. Our goal is to minimize distractions. So again, I reiterate, the most important step in this whole entire process, if you don't get any of the technical stuff I said, just remember one thing: communication. You should be communicating with a whole host of people, not just the production crew between yourselves, but the worship team, the leadership. And it can be as simple as WhatsApp messages. It can be as complex as a Zoom call like this, meeting together to conference together like this. Now, to minimize distractions, what does that mean? I think visual distractions, it's a relative term. Some people are comfortable with some kinds of visual elements, and some people are not. So let me just share a story with you. We did a video a couple of weeks back where we had a piano angle where our pianist was playing the piano, right? And it was a picture of her hands, a video angle of her hands. And I thought that was a very artistic thing. I wanted people to see the way that she was playing the piano and keyboard. What I missed out was that you can actually see a little bit of her knee in the shot, because she's sitting down, and then you can see the knee lah. Then the feedback came back from doing the review process, and the feedback was, we can see the person's knee there. That's going to be a problem, So and to me, it didn't occur to me at all that this was a problem, and so it really depends on your church. What are they comfortable with? What are they not comfortable with? Some people might have an issue that I've got so many guitars in my background, and in case you're wondering why I have so many guitars, before I was a full-time ministry staff, I was trying to be a professional musician, and I was the engineer by day, and then the gigging musician by night. Obviously single and unmarried, so I have a lot of free time, a lot of money, right? So with an engineer salary, I can start to accumulate a lot of gear, so that's what you see behind me. So if I was in a church where we didn't, where that would have been a problem, I would have to probably communicate to. It has to be communicated that, hey, we need you to shoot your video in a place where there's less distractions, or less can it be a plain wall or something? And you don't have to say things like, hey, you have too many guitars, you're a terrible testimony for Christ. We're not going to go with that. I mean, you can possibly be a bit more tactful and say, hey, why don't we scale back and go with something a bit more simpler? Hey, why don't we go to your living room? Another angle of your living room. Why don't you go to your study? See your books. Maybe books is less distracting than guitars. I don't know. Okay. So 8:23, good time. All right. I need to go through some key concepts, and I'm going to explain to you some technical things. As I did in the audio seminar yesterday, there are technical terms that you cannot avoid in video, and it helps to understand what some of these terms refer to. Let's start with a fundamental question. What is video? And to put it simply, a video is just a collection of pictures. Like, okay, I want you, those of you with your smartphones, right? I want you to try your rapid fire mode. You press and hold down the trigger button on your camera, and then you hear. Now move that camera. Now move your phone. Introduce some motion to the phone, right? And I want you to replay those pictures in rapid succession. Just press the right key and just let your computer scroll through those pictures. You will see that you have created a video. You have created a series of images put together and in rapid succession, and the more pictures you took per second, the smoother the more smooth the motion became. So the number of images that you put together in 1 second, we have a term for that. It's expressed as frames per second. So when you hear a camera person talking about how many frames per second are you shooting your video, he's talking about how many images are put together in 1 second. So 30 frames per second is 30 pictures taken in 1 second. And of course, and then the number goes up or goes down depending on the situation. You've got 60 frames per second. You've got 24 frames per second. Now, all these are very industrial specific terms. They have a specific usage in the video world and video editing world, which I will share in a second. Okay, what is video? It's pictures taken in rapid succession. Now, that is just talking about the number of pictures per second, but how sharp or how blur are the pictures going to be? The sharpness of the picture or the sharpness of the video, that comes from something called resolution. Now, in modern technology, we're in the age of we've gone past the CRT monitor. We're now in the era where we use pixels to approximate an image. So just like how in audio editing I shared yesterday, that the computer cannot reproduce a sound organically. It's got to try to mimic it by creating little rectangles to approximate a curve. The computer does the same thing for photographs, for videos, for photos and videos. The computer tries to approximate an image by using tiny little squares. So imagine a picture, then you have all your tiny little squares. Each square has information like the color, how bright the color is supposed to be, and of course, with those of you who are a bit more in the know and tech savvy, a pixel will simply show three colors, three primary colors: red, green, and blue. So and everything else is a combination of those colors. So the resolution is the number of pixels an image on screen. Okay. So when you hear terms like standard definition, so SD, that means that there are 640 pixels wide and 480 pixels deep. So yeah, your x-axis is 640 followed by y-axis 480. 640, 480. Now this was the standard. They defined it as a standard definition because in industry this was a time where we were using we were using the aspect ratio of 4:3 on our monitors, on our TVs, basically all visual, all TV, everyone was watching the world in 4:3. And you can see this sometimes, when you go on YouTube and you watch really old videos, let's say videos from 10 years ago, you realize, hey, actually the videos are a bit square. That's the reason why, because back then the industrial standard for television was the 4:3 aspect ratio. Now we live in the era of the 16:9 aspect ratio. That means the ratio between the length and the breadth. I should have defined that further. So 16:9 means that this is 16, that is 9. That ratio is constant. So we are now in the era of the HD, high definition, and that means full HD resolution means 1920 pixels by 1080 pixels. Okay, 1920 pixels, 1080 pixels. This is because all our monitors are now 16:9. All our monitors, every monitor is a bit more rectangular shape than they were 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, our monitors were a bit more square shape. Now our monitors are a bit more rectangular shape, and because they were manufactured this way, the industrial standard got shifted. So a little bit of I'm probably oversimplifying the history here, so don't quote me on that. This is not the answer that you'll pass your industrial history on. Okay, so at the end of the day, what this has got to do with me? You need to be aware of some of the numbers. Not all numbers, just some. Just like how audio, right? In audio resolution, the higher the number, the better the higher quality the sound will be. Similar in video, the higher the numbers of both your frame rate and your resolution and your frame rate, if they're higher, they are also better video quality. But the caveat is the file size also becomes a lot bigger. So I always communicate to whoever's submitting video to me, send it to me in 1080p 30. That is full HD, 1920 by 1080, 30 frames per second. If you want a little bit of tidbit for you, the frames per second has the way that a video is recorded will result in a certain effect, a certain visual effect. So different frame rates give different results. If you want a documentary style, or if you want a bit more realism, a bit more fluid motion in your video, you shoot at 30 frames per second. If you want a more cinematic film look, if you want the motion to be a bit more blurry, if you want to have that softness, a bit of softness in the video, you go for 24 frames per second. And then for hyper realism, if you want the action to be super smooth, if you want to look like it's popping out the screen. You go for 60 frames per second. Interesting tidbit, and since I've got time, you know, when you walk past your television, okay, next time you go to a television store or like Best Denki or Courts, and you walk past the television section, right? They, you know how they always try to say, wow, this TV, it looks like so good. You know, the picture, the hummingbird is flying out of the screen at me. You know, the flower is, I can touch the flower. I can guarantee you, all those videos that they're using to show on that TV is filmed in 60 frames per second, because the hyper-realism comes from the frame rate. So it's not so much the TV. I mean, the TV does play a part in the color reproduction and the contrast, whatever, but the hyper-realism, the fluidity of the motion, the action, that comes from the frame rate. So the little tidbit for you: don't get fooled by the TVs don't be fooled by the TVs in Courts and Best Denki. They might be trying to entice you in with 60 frames per second. And but we are not just in the 1080p world. We are now advancing technology to the point that we've got even higher definition, even higher resolution. Right now this is probably you're probably watching this on a 1080p monitor, which is your normal. This is our standard resolution, maybe. Our new standard resolution, but you've got even higher 4K. Oh, that's a very nice. That's like the marketing gimmick, right? Oh, 4K. This is a 4K camera. This is a 4K video capable, camera. Then you got Ultra HD. It just means that there are more pixels and more pixels on the screen. So if SD was this kind of number of pixels in the little square, right, then you got more pixels and more pixels. That's just basically what this graph is trying to represent. The higher the number, the bigger the file, the bigger your video file is going to be with the bigger numbers. And right now, I believe Canon has got an 8K capable camera, which is insane. The question at the end of the day: do I need a 4K camera? Do I need 4K capabilities? Those of you who have modern phones, let's say from iPhone 6 onwards, and I believe Android also, I can't remember, Samsung S8, S9, I can't remember the numbers, but it wasn't too long ago that we were able to get 4K resolution on our mobile devices. Do you need that? Honestly, no, because think about it. You are watching your videos, right? You're watching videos on a small screen like this. You're watching videos, okay, I give it to you, maybe you got an 80-inch TV at home. You're watching that there. But even then, the 80-inch TV is not going to be that high, that big a screen compared to, let's say, the cinema. The reason why you have people with cinema-grade cameras to shoot in 8K, you shoot in, the red camera shoots, I can't remember the resolution, but some crazy resolution, right? It's because you need to show that picture on a giant screen. You are trying to produce content for the phone. YouTube analytics tells us that and social media analytics tell us that everybody consumes, that more people are consuming their information and their videos over the phone. And I kid you not, when I process 4K video on my computer, and my computer is quite a high, at the time it was quite a high performance computer, my 4K videos caused my video editor to crash. And when it didn't crash, it takes 3-4 hours to render a 4K video. It is that processor heavy. So for the sake of everyone's sanity, I recommend that if you're getting your guys to submit worship videos and like virtual choirs or content for that's going to be consumed on the phone, on the tablet, on the computer, 1080p 30 frames per second is absolutely fine, no problem. You won't find that there's a need for such a high resolution video for your worship video. Besides, once if you do worship videos, if you want to do worship videos like I do, when I split screen everybody, let's say you have 8 people on screen, you don't need that kind of high resolution anyway. 720p, that is lower definition than 1080p, works just as well as 1080p for that purpose. So it really depends on your application, and also experiment. Some phones, even though they shoot at 4K, the video quality may not be so good, because video quality is not just a it's not just dependent on your resolution, it's also dependent on your processor. And if your mobile device video processor isn't very good, a 4K resolution is you're just going to get a very big image of a subpar kind of video quality. So do check your phone, do check the settings on your phone, but I recommend to you and I submit to you that you don't need such high power capabilities, especially in this time where we need to produce content a bit more quicker than usual. Okay? So, why is this important? You and your worship team should be using the same video resolution. If someone submits a very high resolution file with a processor heavy codec, it will slow down the whole workflow. I'll tell you another story. So the first week I did worship videos, I had to put together the first week I had to put together I didn't really care about the video resolution that was sent to me, right? One guy had a very modern high def kind of video, and another person sent in a very low definition video. I put them side by side. Not only did it become very slow, but what I noticed started to happen was that the lower resolution video started to lag behind the high resolution video. So everybody was singing in time. The lips were singing, and they were singing to the correct. The music was happening, and you can see the lips were moving at the correct part. But my friend who had my worship team member who had the slightly lower resolution camera, she started to drift behind, and I believe it's because there was such a mishmash of audio and video resolutions happening in the same project file. So I encourage you, standardize recording format. 1080p, 30 frames a second. That's a very simple thing. That's a very simple way to standardize everything. Everybody just make do with 1080p, 30 frames a second. I'm going to be saying those numbers a lot. So by the end of this webinar, you will know one number to say: 1080p, 30 frames a second. 1080p, 30 frames a second. All right, let's go down. Okay, now that you understand, I hope you understand a little bit of the technical terms behind what video is. Let's go on to video editing. We want to manipulate the video footage from our devices, and we want to achieve a creative purpose. In cinema, we want to tell a story. In the music video, you got the emotional story to tell. So the video editor needs to have a creative vision in mind. He needs to know that he's like the director. In his mind, there's a certain story he wants to tell. There's a certain purpose that the video will serve. Now, being a video editor is a marriage of both art and science. So, and the key to unlock and the key to this is you need to understand that behind every technical term that you come across, there is a creative purpose. In other words, okay, I want to imagine like opening my eyes from blackness. I want to open my eyes and see something, something fade in. That is a fade in transition. You need to apply a fade transition to get that. I want to transit from one scene to the next with a wipe, because I want to see some continuity in motion. Then you need to apply a wipe transition, that kind of thing. And so do note that every technical term has a creative purpose in mind. Okay? So before we jump into the video editor proper, there is a simple, everyone has to you need to understand the term workflow. Okay, and that word is going to come up in conversation with video editors and your fellow creatives. What's your workflow like? To put it simply, the workflow is the step-by-step process from receiving the video file to getting the final product. How do you go from getting the raw file to coming up with the end product? So your workflow breaks down the process from step 1 to step 10 or step 1 to step 20 to get the final product. What you need to do to establish this workflow, you need to do a few things that everyone has got a different workflow, but there are essential things that every video editor must know. You need to understand your workspace, because some video editors, so all video editors are going to look and feel slightly different. And once you get used to one, it may not be the case that you will immediately be able to understand the second one. The workflow process looks roughly like this. First, you get your files, right? Your various video clips, your various video files from your worship team members. You need to import them. So that's bringing the files into the editor. Then you need to cut out unnecessary parts, because when you press record on the video editor, you're going to see somebody run back to where it needs to record. You're going to see the person like maybe rub his face, check his hair before the song starts. Then you need to sync audio and video. And I recommended the two-part system, because in audio editing we work on the whole song, and then we sync up the audio and the video in a separate way. Separately. And today we're going to learn how to do that. So then one thing that a lot of people are asking, how do I add lyrics to the video? This is where you do it. Titles and captions. It's a fundamental key feature in video editors. Every video editor will have you have ability to add text, whether it's coming at you in the sense, you can move the text around, you can resize it, you can and have different fonts, etc. And then at the end of it all, when you finish your importing, your trimming, your syncing, and your titles, captions and captions and graphics, whatever, then you need to export the final product. And other video editors will give you the option to export at various resolutions. And you will see in Windows Movie Maker, the options are actually very, very limited. So now, that being said, I am going to bring you to Windows Movie Maker. You've opened up your video editor. This is the workspace, and particularly for Windows Movie Maker, you are going to want to be familiar with a few things. Number one, you need to import your files, and this is where you can do that. You click on Add Photos and Videos. This brings you to a dialog box to choose your files you need to import. So there's the Add Photos and Videos here. You want to add your captions, your text, your lyrics, your subtitles. This is where you do it. There are basically three basic options in Windows Movie Maker. There are a few tabs up here, and you can navigate to the various tabs for different things. In animations, this is where you can work on your transitions. Let's say you want to fade in the video. Let's say you want to fade out the video. Where are the commands to do that? This animations tab is where you will find the ability to do those things. I don't really deal with visual effects too much because for one thing, Windows Movie Maker is a bit on the cheesy side of things. Because it's free, the quality of the visual effects is not very high, so I wouldn't recommend using any of these because they really do look quite cheesy. It reminds me of like the school projects I used to do in secondary school or something, so it's really that cheesy. Under project, okay, so there are a few things here you can choose, right? The project tab gives you the ability to the left side here has to do with the when you put audio and video together, which one do you want to be slightly louder than the other? I think they apply a compressor and maybe a limiter of sorts, to raise up the volume of either the video, either the music or the narration. You can actually plug a mic into your interface, and then you can narrate directly into Windows Movie Maker. But I don't do that because I like to separate that workflow. That's for a different class altogether. Aspect ratio. Remember I talked about different aspect ratios and different industrial standards. Here you can choose if you want to, for some reason, you want to shoot a slightly squarish video, 4:3 aspect ratio. That's where you can choose this. But for the most part, if you're dealing with normal video and with normal applications to show on phones and tablets, whatever, 16:9 is the way to go. The only exception that I can think of is if you are doing, let's say, an Instagram video, where Instagram's default, Instagram video. If you're doing an Instagram post, Instagram, its default
aspect ratio is 4:3, and I think it's 4:3 if I'm not mistaken. But very rarely will you need the 4:3 aspect ratio unless you really want an old-timey look. So by and large, widescreen 60:9, it should always be this way. It'll be that. When you go to the View tab, make sure that you have waveforms on, and this is important because later on when you sync the audio and the video, waveforms is going to help you to visually see whether you are in sync or not. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, give me a few minutes, I'll show you what I mean. So now you've opened up Windows Movie Maker, you've opened up the editor. How do you import your file? You can add videos and photos and go through your folders in the dialog box, but you can also drag and drop. So I already have a folder where I have compiled all the files necessary for this project. And remember last night, for those of you here last night, we did Build My Life as the audio track. Today I recorded the video track for Build My Life. So I'm going to load up. Okay, so Windows Movie Maker, you need to put the video first, then the audio. In other editors, you can drop the video or the audio onto the track, doesn't matter which one, but in Windows Movie Maker, the order matters. You cannot add an audio file without adding a video file first. Limitation. Free so got limitations all. So I know that my first video here is the file that I want. Alright, I'm not sure if you can see this, and I'm sorry if you can't see it right now, but when you go back to watch it on the replay and on YouTube, I hope that you can see on my screen that there's a little gray bar, not gray bar, there's a little, you see, there's a gray like peaks here, like it looks like mountains or whatever, and it's most clear when the song picks up, and like further down the road. You see that there are little gray things that look like that. Now that is a waveform that is representing the audio data in the video. So what I did to make this video is that I separated the audio recording and the video recording process. So I recorded the audio first, and then like in a music video production, I bounce down, I have the mastered audio track, I play it from a separate player, I hit record, and I sync the performances together. So I'm not actually singing in this video. I'm mostly mouthing the video. I'm mostly mouthing the lyrics. I'm following along the audio track that I'm playing from my Bluetooth speaker, so that my camera captured that playback. Okay, so the gray spaces there represent the sound of that's in your video. Okay. So this is important because when you see the gray bar at the bottom of Windows Movie Maker in your file, that means that the sound. And this is important because I can tell that is my first word. Worthy of every song. That is the first word that I come up there. Okay? So I need, when I bring in my audio file that I bounced yesterday, I need to sync up. That will be the sync point. Worthy of all the praise. That the first word, worthy, is going to be where I sync the audio and video together. So I got the video track in. Let's bring in the audio, and I mastered it down to the final product. Now, Windows Movie Maker is really quite limited, so there is no way to. You can't use the arrow keys to move the audio file to sync. You have to click, hold, and drag to move the file. It's really a bit kankor. So again, I'll demonstrate this to you step by step. Again, I'm going to repeat the process. You load the video first because Windows Movie Maker demands that you load the video first. Then you drag and drop the audio file. And because you can't move the audio file, you can't move your audio file with the left and right arrow keys, you need to click, hold, and drag. Now I know that in my audio file, and you notice that in the audio file there's also, now you see the green color, right? The audio file is represented by the green color, and you can see the waveform of that file is green. The dark green represents audio information. And if you notice this, okay, I'm gonna try and zoom in so you can see better. Okay, if you can see my mouse cursor, I'm going to the middle of the screen, and the middle screen I'm going over to the right hand side. Do you see how this green waveform here, it's a bit low, then suddenly there's a big peak here, and then it kind of follows, it kind of maintains that peak for the rest of the section. And then you see how in the gray part of Windows Movie Maker, the gray over this part here, you see that there's a slight, there's like a very short gray mountain, then suddenly it picks up to a big gray mountain here, right? Now, this tells me that these are actually the same audio spots. This is actually my sync point. I want to make sure that the green big mountain here matches up with this gray mountain here. Now, it's a bit hard to see in the Zoom webinar right now, but when this video comes out, and I'll make sure that it comes out. And take note that this is, you'll be able to see a bit more clearer. No, not this. So you can hear that my voice comes in on the video. My voice is coming in faster than audio, so I actually need to pull back. I need to push forward the audio file a little bit. Nope. Is it actually that much forward?
Worthy of every song we could ever sing.
Yeah. In Windows Movie Maker, okay, so this black bar here, I've got to mention, this is the cursor. Okay, the cursor, when you click on the cursor, you're clicking on the timeline. You're clicking on the part of the video that you want to play. So if I want to go to an earlier part of the video, I click on an earlier part of the timeline. If I want to jump forward to a later part of the timeline, I can click on somewhere down, down the line. Windows Movie Maker, the project timeline is like a snake. Okay, it starts at the top. Time 0 is right at the top, and then it goes, and then it continues down, kind of like that. So if you remember playing your I don't know, like Snake in your Nokia phone, that's kind of like the the timeline flows from left to right and it zigzags. Okay, on other video editors, the timeline is one straight bar from left to right, which I think is a bit more intuitive than this zigzaggy timeline from, that starts from the top and kind of goes all the way down to the bottom. I mean, I don't know why they did that, but it's Windows Movie Maker, and it's free. So I think I'm synced up.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing.
All right.
Worthy of all the praise we could ever bring.
All right. It's a good practice to check whether you're in sync. Okay, by right, I will play the video the whole way through, but for time's sake, I'm just going to check the front. I'm going to check the middle.
Inside you, open up my eyes and one.
Okay, check out.
Who you are and leave me.
And then.
It is us in you alone, and I will not be shaken.
I'm going to share honestly here, I wasn't singing at all in the video, I was just mouthing the words. And I want you to hear something too, okay? When I click on the especially the softer parts of the video.
You alone, and
hear the background. I want you to hear the background that's happening.
I will not be shaken.
You should be able to hear that there is someone who is handling dishes in the background. The fundamental noob mistake number one in video editing is that people forget to mute the video file if they already have an audio file that they are syncing to. So it's a bit funny to be able to hear like dishes clanking in the background, or to have your neighbor's dog barking in the background. So when you do sync up your audio and your video, do remember to mute the video. How do you mute the video? On the top here, when you load up your video and your music files, you would have Movie Maker will give you two submenus. The first submenu is the video tools to handle things for video, and the second submenu is for music. Okay, so when you click on video tools, click on edit. On the extreme left hand side, there's something called video volume. When you click that, it gives you an indication. Okay, you know what? There's actually this there's audio coming from the video file. I want to mute the video file because I already have my audio file. That is the audio performance is already there, so I don't need anything from the video. So I'm going to mute that video. So now with this muted, I can go back to the ending here. Silence. That's great. You don't hear people handling. You don't hear I think it was either my wife or my helper handling dishes in the background, or the neighbors barking, or whatever, or what have you. So do remember to mute the audio from the video when you sync up when you sync them up. Okay, you've imported the file. You have synced the file together. Now let's get rid of the front portions that you don't want and the back portions that you don't want. So that's called trimming. And we need to trim because if I were to start from the very beginning of the video file, right, before anything's happening, okay, this is going to be very dark glare for me, but I'm going to show you anyway. Okay, imagine with me, right? You're now looking from the viewpoint of the camera that I set up. When I press play, it's actually me pressing record on the camera. So I press record on the camera. Then you see me huddling over to the front of the camera, make sure I'm in frame, position myself correctly. There was a clap sync, which actually was a bit useless in Windows Movie Maker because, for reasons. And you notice there's a very long pause before the start of the video. It's like half a minute of just nonsense. So what do you want to do? What you can do and what you should be doing is to come to a creative decision. How much do I want to trim off the front? And let's say if I want to, I want to make sure that the downbeat of that cross stick is heard. So this part here is where I want the audio should be should kick in, right? So I'm going to cut away maybe here because I don't want this whole front. I don't want to see myself getting in front of the camera. I don't want to see myself, adjusting myself to frame. So what you should do is now that you can click and hold the cursor, move it around, right? Now click, hold the cursor, move it to a location that you want to start the video from. Let go. Now at this point in time in the project timeline, you have to do something called a split. You need to split both the audio and video files. I'll show you how to do that, to demarcate that, okay, I'm going to start this video from that point. In videos and music tools, both of these tools have a split tool. Split the section into two items at current point. So I'm convinced, okay, I want the video to start here. I don't need the front part here. Okay. This is very important and you must follow me exactly what I do, right? You need to click on split on the video. Without moving the cursor at all, without touching anything else, go to music, same thing, split. So you still maintain the sync between the audio and the video. If you only split one and you remove that section, the audio and video get desynced. It's just a limitation of Movie Maker. In other video editors, if you split the clips at a certain point, if you delete the other doesn't necessarily get desynced. But in Movie Maker, it's free, no severe limitations. It is just the way it is. So remember, again, when you apply the split at the start point that you want to start off, split both audio and video, so that when you delete the music and delete that front part, okay, again, I'm going to do it slowly. You split both. You've done the split, right? So let's delete the music, that clip, and let's delete the video clip. And right now, you should still see. So the video starts off without me huddling to the front. Alright, so that's the front. You need to do this for the back, because the back also has stuff that you want to trim out. The back is of me, I believe. Okay, again, tak glam for me, but I'll do it for your sake. At the end of the video, I think I assume video end, then I put the guitar down and I go huddle over to turn off the video camera. So yeah, you saw my shadow walking over to. The video stops because I pressed stop on the recorder. So again, you don't want this in your video. You don't want this in the final product. You don't want all this like the preamble huddling together kind of thing. So I find a point in the end of the video that I want to trim out. So let's say there's a bit of a fade here. Okay, so that's enough, right? So maybe that's still a bit long. Okay, so maybe let's arbitrarily choose here endpoint. Okay, let's repeat that process of splitting both audio and video again in this section. So turn your attention to the video tools there, split the video, go to music, split. When you delete, okay, when you press a delete, any change you make to the video file and audio file, Windows Movie Maker will jump back to the front of the file. So you have to, I mean, it's a big hum call, but once you change the ending of a video, right, and you lose your place, what happened? I mean, don't worry, you're at the front, because Windows Movie Maker, the default position after you edit any video file is to jump to the front. So Windows Movie Maker. So you should see that the ending of this file. So let's say that I want the video to end there. So yes, you've trimmed the front, you've trimmed the back. Now you need to apply transitions. So this is a stage where you want to smoothen the entry. So let's say creatively, you want to, let's say from blackness, from nothing, then like you open your eyes and then you see the video. So that's fading in, and then fading out is like you're closing your eyes and closing and receding, from a video, from a picture to blackness or darkness. I think fade in, fade out is like it's a basic video move. Some video makers have other ways to fade in, fade other transitions that they want to do, but for my purposes, and I think creatively, it is the most aesthetically neutral to fade in and fade out. Windows Movie Maker has got very cheesy transitions, and I'll show them to you lah. But you want to the general idea behind transitions and behind making a transition is you want to ease in. You want to have a little bit of a introduction to the video. Not just here I'm here. You want to ease them in, and same thing, you want to ease them out at the end of the video. So what do we do? Movie Maker has all these transitions in animations. So move over to animations. You will now see that you're able to select these effects here. And I was telling you it's very cheesy, right? I'm not kidding. Yucks, ayo. Okay, I try. I'm sorry. Okay, I apologize. Maybe some of you aesthetically like those kind of transitions, and I apologize. I humbly apologize. Maybe you do like, maybe something that you do like. Maybe it's something that appeals to you. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying and I don't mean to poke fun at you, but if you're trying to appeal to the modern sensibility and the modern aesthetic, you might want to avoid the Windows 95 era of transitions, or Windows 98 era of PowerPoint transitions. And this is important because the church is a mixture of a lot of people, right? You've got both your young and your old. Something as seemingly minor as a video transition might send a signal that we are favoring one group over the other. I mean, I'm not saying it does happen all the time, but I'm saying it can happen. You don't want that situation at all. So what should you do? I think to exercise a bit of pastoral care as the video editor, number one, you should be asking maybe you should raise the question, hey, is this kind of, I know that, hey pastor, I know you like the cute dissolve transition, but can we try something a bit more neutral? I submit to you that a simple fade in, fade out is a very aesthetically neutral way to transit in the video. You have your opinion about it, and that's fine. But have these conversations with your pastor, have these conversations with your leadership, because I think they're important, and we shouldn't be excluding, or at least we shouldn't be showing that we prefer a certain aesthetic style to to exclude others, or the possibility of excluding others. So let me find a neutral one, I believe. Okay, so it's still not the best. I think still a little bit cheesy, but the dissolve, if you're to, okay, so you move your mouse over the more in transitions, you can see the various animations that you can do, right? This here, dissolve, blur through back, I think is the most neutral of all. Yeah, it's a bit, that's a fade. So in video editor terms, we just did a fade in. Now we need to do a fade out, and the problem with Windows Movie Maker is that it handles transitions at the front of the clip, but it doesn't allow you to add a transition at the back of the clip. Every other video editor that I know of has the ability to fade in and fade out. It's like the fundamental transition that everyone should be aware of is fade in, fade out, and you can do it to any clip. But for some reason, Windows Movie Maker, I don't know why they removed this feature. You cannot fade out on the end of a clip. But not to worry. I mean, if you don't fade out, it just ends abruptly like that, and it's not that big of a production sin, but it just appears cheap, lor. It appears like the guy didn't bother, or didn't put in the effort to finish the video. So there is a workaround, and I'll show you what that workaround is right now. Okay, when you go to home, when you look at the left hand side of your menus, you will see three types of text that you can put in. Title refers to the front of the video, so like your welcome, that big text in the front of the video. Caption refers to like subtitles, and in our case lyrics. And credits is a big text at the end of the video. So in other words, when you select a video clip on Windows Movie Maker, depending on which option you select, text will either appear at the front, anywhere on the cursor in the middle for caption, and for credits it's at the end of the video. So in our case, if you remember how I said that transitions only are affected in the front of the video, the front of the video clip, this applies to the text boxes and the text in Windows Movie Maker. So I add so step one, okay, you've defined your endpoint, you know your endpoint already. Step two, add a credits. Click on credits. You will see this black box turn up, and this is for you to put your credits, whatever, right? So I delete that because I don't need to have any. Okay, maybe you want to add credits, I don't know, but creatively in my head for this video, I don't want to have anything at the back. I just want a simple fade out. So I apply a fade in on the start of the credits. Okay, again, it's because Windows Movie Maker cannot add transitions at the back of the clip, only the front. So the workaround is add a credits slide, the little credits portion at the end of your clip, and then apply a transition at the credits. So you should be able to go to animations, and now you can see that there are different sets of animation for credits, for text. So Movie Maker differentiates two types of transitions, one for video, one for text. And the text one is laggy cheesy. It reminds me of those like 80s movies that you know. I could go on, man, but okay, for the sake of brevity, okay. So I click on more, and then you can see the various types of sorry, I forgotten that actually there's a hard transition in this in this Movie Maker. Okay, anyway, so back on track, 9:16, so it's a bit late. Okay, I find the one that I want. To me, the fade out equivalent in Movie Maker is blur. So I go for either blur through black, or either way I think will work. So let's say blur through black. Yeah, like I blur lor. Yeah, so alright, you've applied a fade out. So now you've got your both fade in and your fade out. The video technically is complete because you already have done your part to put together the singer singing the music. But in worship music and for worship video, maybe you want to take one more step, and that is you want to add lyrics. And I know this is a question that was sent to me quite a few times in the registration form, so I'm going to show you how I put in lyrics in Movie Maker. You can type out the lyrics manually if you know it by heart, but I'm very lazy, so I go to I Google Build My Life, and I have this in the background so that I can start to copy and paste into Movie Maker. So let's see. The first verse is
worthy of every song we could ever sing.
Alright, here's the thing. Okay, with showing lyrics, there are a few creative ways to go about doing it. You can do 4 lines at a time. Have it okay. So you have creative control over where you want to place the lyrics, whether you want to put it in the center of the screen, whether you want to put it at the bottom or put it at the top. You will have a choice as to what font to use for the lyrics. With lyrics display, you need to decide whether you want to have many lines at once or fewer lines at once. The thing about having fewer lines at once, if you show one line of lyric in the video, that means people have to be on their toes a bit. They have to increase their engagement with the video, because if they don't watch the video, they miss out on the lyric. And if so that's one way. That's one of the considerations. If you have 2 lines, 3 lines, that's less time taken you might decrease engagement in that people don't have to like be on the edge all the time. But having more lyrics on the frame gives people the time to digest the lyrics. If you have all lyrics flashed onto the big screen, 8 lines, 12 lines, you're going to cover up the worship leader. Maybe you want to cover him up. I mean, I don't mind you cover me up because I'm not very handsome and not very talented, so you can cover me up with all the lyrics there. But and by and large, with a worship video of this kind, where you want to engage people with human connection, where you want to show that someone is worshiping, someone is a human being is on that screen worshiping with you in the living room, on your wherever the person's watching the online service video from, you have to find that balance. And in Ang-Mo-Kio Methodist, we found the balance to be 2 lines. Okay, 2 lines, maximum 2 lines on the worship video, so that people know what line is coming up next, so they can read the line, but also not to cover up the worship leader, the musicians on the screen, because we want to emphasize on human connection. Again, it all depends on your church and your church context. If your church has decided, you know what, we're not going to have a worship leader on screen, we just want a picture, and then you want to have like all 12 lines of the lyric like show for 1 minute for the whole duration of the song, that's fine too. That's entirely your prerogative as a church to do. You might want to do that for a hymn, for example, because some hymns, the lyrics are very chim, right? So you might want to have the lyrics up there for a longer time so people can read, reflect, and oh, here I raise my Ebenezer, hither by thy help I've come. Like, wow, see me Ebenezer, see me hither. Then, that kind of consideration. With contemporary music, you don't have to put all the lyrics on at a time because it's quite simple. It's meant to foster in easing in of participation with easier lyrics. So I'm going to do 2 lines, maybe max 3 lines per lyric. So let's get started. All right. So let's identify the part where I start to sing. Yep. So that's your first part, right? Tip of the day, if your audio guy didn't remove the breath marks, the taking a deep breath, when a person takes a breath, that is a good time to stop the cursor and to put in a subtitle or put in the lyrics. Right, yeah, because at the breath, that is right before the lyric, the first word comes on. Okay, let's go to here. Okay, you see here, let's go to home. And let's go to, remember the 3 text options here? Let's go to caption. When you click on caption, it says enter text here. I could type it out if I was hardworking, but I'm a bit lazy, so I'm just going to do this. Copy, paste. Now the problem with Movie Maker is that it kind of makes you think, wow, yo, the formatting big haywire. I don't want that word to be often right at the bottom. Don't worry, there are edges of the text box that you can drag and drop, so you can do a few things. When you see, you move your cursor around the text box, right? When you move it to the edge, you should see the 4 arrows, or rather the 2 two-way arrows. This allows you to click, hold, and drag the caption wherever you wanted to go. So you can put it up here over my face because I'm not very handsome. But more importantly, the edges of the text box allow you to resize. Right now, on this side here, you can see that under, a bit like Microsoft Word, you have paragraph controls. You can have it centered, you can have it left, you can have it right, or you can have it centered. Most most music video expectations is that lyrics are centered and appear at the bottom. So that's one thing to note. Now I don't want to have that weird word stranded there, so I resize the text box. I hover over the text box, that point there, I click and I drag, and I click on the other side, click and I drag. Now the text box is sized so that I cannot move it left or right anymore. I can only move up and down. That means that my text box is now perfectly centered. Okay? Just like how if you recite the Lord's Prayer, you're perfectly centered in the Lord. So let's move it down here. Okay. One big problem. The contrast is too high on my guitar, so you can barely see the words, right? Movie Maker has something that can help. Okay, you've typed out your lyric here. Now move all the way to the top right hand side. You'll see this option called outline. Okay, what this allows you to do is that the text will now have a colored outline around the words. So I'm going to click on outline. I'm going to click narrow. It can still be seen, okay, for some reason the default color is gray, and I cannot for the life of me change the default. And you should be able to do it. You should be able to, but you can't. Hover over outline color, click on it. You can now choose the color of the outline. I click on black, and now you can see that
Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring.
Okay, so roughly I know that the lyric ends here, but my subtitle it's only 7 seconds in duration. How do I increase its duration? In every other video editor, you can click the edge of the text box of the subtitle, you can drag it to whatever length you want. Movie Maker cannot, so you need to do a workaround. What do you do? Okay, when you finish typing in the first subtitle, double click the subtitle so that you bring up the text tools. So remember how with the video and the audio file you worked with just now, you've got video tools and music tools. With captions, with subtitles, you now have the opportunity to use text tools. Now don't worry about all this. So just like how in the video tools you can add transitions and you can add like animation, you can add animation to your text too. So you can make it you can do the cheesy Microsoft things, but I could do this all night, but we don't have all night. So where was I? You need to okay, ignore the animation. Okay, you can play around animation if you want to, but for the most part don't need. To the left of this animation pane, you see this edit text here, right? Start time, text duration. Text duration is telling Windows Movie Maker, I want this subtitle to appear for this duration of time, and it's 7 seconds. It's too short. I need it to be around
worthy of all the praise we could ever bring.
I need it to be here. So with Movie Maker, you cannot like put a marker, or you cannot put like a highlighted area to demarcate an area that you want attention on, right? So you need to do a bit of a mental exercise and remember, okay, that's roughly the spot I want the subtitle to be how long. Because once I try to edit the duration, you realize that the cursor is no longer there. I don't know. So you need to have in your mind roughly where the lyric needs to be. Another tip that I can give you is that the waveform gives you information as to how much audio information is being given at the same time. So for a soft verse like this, every time there's a sung part, if in a low section, in a dynamically low section, the waveform jumps. So you can tell. By intuition, you can tell. The low green part here is background music. Then when the person takes the breath, worthy of every song we could ever sing. Okay, because that is the physical. That is like a pictorial representation of sound. So use that to advantage. So this tells me right now, according to the green waveform of my audio file, that around this area is where I stop singing. So I increase the text duration. Let's say 9 seconds. Nope, that's a bit too short. Let's go up to 12. A bit too long. So let's bring it down. I think it was around, no, still a bit too short. Wow. Can't call, right? But let's see whether you're correct.
All the praise we could ever bring.
Yep. Okay. I stopped right before I sung the next note, and I want you to notice the green waveform. The green waveform here, you see a sudden jump in the green information here. There was a low mountain here, and suddenly, a high peak of a mountain. This again is the singer singing, because there's more audio information. So now that's the next line of the song. Now I could add another caption and click here, but the problem with that is when I click caption, all the formatting I did with my previous subtitle gets lost. There's no way to set defaults in Movie Maker. So you could, if you want, manually do everything again. Type in the lyrics, you know, set the outline, set the outline color, and do everything from scratch. But I'm lazy, so what do? You can copy and paste. So hover your mouse over your caption, Control C to copy, move the cursor roughly to where you think you're going to sing. So okay, one thing you can do, this is a technique called scrubbing. Okay, when you click and hold the cursor, okay, when I drag the cursor left, you can see that I'm moving a bit, right? All right, so this is called scrubbing because you're moving the video frame by frame. So you know, I can give myself, it's like a GIF, right? Anyway, okay, so move the cursor. I'm about to say that word. Yep, right before wordy, I release and I paste. Now that's not the correct lyric, right? So you need to copy from Google, Control Alt, paste. Now again, the formatting goes a bit haywire because you know Movie Maker is not good. So again, you need to do the resizing of the text box. So resize left, resize right. You cannot move it up. You can't move it left right anymore because it's centered. Drag it down. You should see that your formatting, your font outline and your font outline color should still be the same. So there's some uniformity in the formatting. It should be.
Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe, we live for you.
Now you can make this a bit shorter because you know you don't need okay, it's your personal preference. Some people don't like to see lyrics on when the person's not singing. Some people like to have lyrics on when you're not singing. So it's up to you how you want to edit your video. So I'm just going to leave it there because we have lack of time, right? Rinse and repeat the process. So a tip for subtitle making and lyrics making. Music is uniform, right? So it repeats itself in sections. Every verse should be the same number of bars, every chorus should be the same number of bars. So hypothetically, if I copy my first line, it should correspond to how long the next line is going to be. So I'm going to copy my first subtitle, my first lyric. Okay, I took a breath. The next sound is going to come out is the word. So I know that on this point in time, I know that the next thing that's happening on the video is the lyrics. So I Control Paste and rinse and repeat. I find the lyric to copy, paste. This time there wasn't a need to change the formatting so much, so that's great. Okay, let's try it. Let's see whether this worked.
Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save.
Yep. I took another breath. Let's paste it again. Actually, I didn't need to paste because if you see, the line is worthy of every breath you could ever breathe, we live for you. It's actually a repeat, so I could copy this.
Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe, we live for you, we live for you.
Yep. Okay, I took another breath. That was the chorus. So rinse and repeat. I'm doing this live to show you how laborious this can be, but there's going to be some light at the end of the tunnel. I'll show that to you. Okay. Oops. Okay. Let's see.
Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you.
Yeah, so now we need to decrease the duration of that lyric. So I need to I need to double click the subtitle. I need to decrease the duration because open up my eye. That's where I need to put that lyric. Left, right, bring down.
Open up my eyes in wonder.
In my zeal to copy and paste, you saw that when I copy and pasted the caption, you can technically copy and paste like from your Word doc, your Google, whatever, and just paste directly here, but the formatting, there'll be no remembrance of the formatting of the previous subtitles. So my advice is always to copy the subtitle, paste and copy the subtitle, the previous one, paste it, and then edit the text. So I can do this live to reset the format. Yep.
Open up my eyes in wonder.
And I know that I need to shorten this, so I cannot drag and drop, so I need to manually turn this down. It's a bit too short, so I'm going to do 4.9.
In wonder.
I'm going to be a bit lazier and just do 3 lines at a time, okay? I should have done this first. I will copy that. I'll paste here. I will copy this lyric. And I will edit here. Again, left, right, make sure it's centered. Okay, sometimes when the subtitle looks a bit, hey, how come got space down here? That's probably because there's a spare character down there that you need to backspace. Now we can move it all the way right down there. So.
Wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me.
Okay, I need to make it this long, so let's go to text duration. Let's make it, nope, too long. Yeah, you guys signed up to see me do this live. Nope. And I'm doing this live to show you how kind of how not how can't call but the kind of work that needs to be done. Okay, I know that the next section, right, is actually a repeat of verse 2 and chorus. So now we put in so much work for the first part of the song. You can actually now copy and paste all the lyrics that were before it. So what you can do is this. Okay, you can click on the subtitle, press and hold Control, so that when you click on another subtitle, these two subtitles that get selected together. Okay, so again, the chorus section you can copy and paste, right? So press and hold Control, click on the subtitle, click and click, because all these can be copied and pasted. Right, all copy pasted, right? So now you got all this selected, Control C to copy, and then this is where I can paste, and it should be fill up all the way to the rest of the chorus.
Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. We live for you, Lord.
Of course, it's not perfect because it's actually the section before the second chorus. They actually have a bit of one more bar of music, so you can reselect these. You can reselect the all the chorus subtitles and move it to the point that he starts to sing. Which is here.
There is no one like you. There is none beside you.
Yeah, so you gotta start doing stuff like this, lor.
Open up my eyes.
So yeah, it's not perfect. In a perfect world, this would be able to be copy and pasted quite easily. So, in summary, let's go. Let me reiterate the workflow from top to bottom to this point here. You would rinse and repeat the editing of your lyrics until you finish the song. So let's recap. First, you need to import your files. So get your files ready, put them in a folder, then you can start to drag and drop them. In Movie Maker, you need to drop in the video file first. So drop in the video file, then drop in your audio file. When you drop the two in, they will not be in sync because you press record on your video camera or your phone, then you press play on your computer or whatever to play back. So the sync points are going to be, so the point where the audio starts on both files is going to be different. You need to sync them up. How do you sync them up? You look up for visual cues in the waveforms. The waveforms is the pictorial representation of sound in both in the video file and the audio file. With the video file, there'll be a gray colored waveform that you can look in at the bottom of the video, and with audio, it's visually represented by a green waveform. Your goal is to look at the shape of the waveforms from a low section, from the quiet section. Then when the music starts to come in, there's going to be a bit of a peak, and then when the voice comes in, there's going to be another peak. So when you look at the various peaks and you look at your audio file, yes, there are various peaks here too. You then have to match the two together, align the two together. With Movie Maker, you need to click and hold the audio file and drag the audio file to wherever until you find that sync point where both sync. Now that you've synced up the audio and video, you then need to trim. You need to cut away the front part where you don't want to see the person, sauntering to the front of the camera to make sure that you are in frame. Comb your hair, and then you can start to sing. So cut that out. At the end also, you don't want to see the person stop playing, then move to the camera to turn it off. Find the start point, end point, trim. Remember, you need to trim, you need to split the files, and to split the files, you need to define a point using the cursor where you want to stop. Then you need to use the split function. Very importantly, I'm going to say this again because this will save you a ton of heartache. Once you land your cursor on where you want to split your files, don't move the cursor anymore. Move over to Video Music Tools. Split video, split audio, then you can delete those sections that you don't want. If you don't do that, your video will desync. It's just because Windows Maker is limited or whatever. It's limited lah. So then once that is done, if you need to add in lyrics, subtitles, you can do so using the caption command in Windows Movie Maker in the middle section right here. Okay, that is, and once you finish doing all your lyrics, once you finish once you finish your transitions, you need to make sure that there's a fade in, and you do that with your animations tab here. And once you got the fade out, okay, yeah, there's only fade out. Then it's time to save the file. It's time to export it. So if importing is the first step in the process to get everything in, you need to produce the final product, and that is the exporting step. To export, you got a few ways to do this. Movie Maker has the option and ability to publish directly to some online services. I don't recommend this because you always want to be in control of how your media gets transmitted and distributed. So I normally like to work with a file, with one end product file. So I save the movie, and you will see for everyone who for those of you who have never touched video before, you're still very unsure of, well, what's 1080p, what's 30 frames a second. Movie Maker has got predefined presets that look quite decent. Common, like the 1080p one is the bring that again. For high definition display, this will give you actually, if you hover over the presets, they give you the resolution, right? Hover that. Ugh. I don't like movie. I don't like Windows. Sorry, I'm a Mac user, so there's something in Windows that really doesn't make sense to me. So if you want to see the details as to what high definition display is, what the preset is outputting the file to, this is it. I like to have a little bit more control over the export quality, so I scroll all the way, or I use my thumb, the mouse wheel, or I point the pointer to the arrow at the top and bottom. So there's an arrow down here that will bring it all the way down. Create custom settings, right? So if you bring up high definition display, you will see that you can change some of these values. Whether or not they actually change the value or have an impact on the video, I'm not very sure, but I just make sure that I match the quality of the video that was sent to me. So if I was sent 1080p 30 frames a second video, and if I mix everything in 1080p 30 frames a second, I want to export as a 1080p 30 frames a second video. How do you do that? You just make sure that these numbers are there. Make sure that the width is 1920 pixels, make sure the height is 1080 pixels, don't worry about the bit rate. The frame rate, okay, I know I say it's 30 frames a second, but in computer land, 30 frames a second is actually 29.97 frames a second. Don't worry about it, it's a technical thing. When you see 29.97 FPS on a video encoder, they mean 30 frames a second. This is because I think the video format for NTSC was 29.97 FPS. Anyway, yeah, it's got to do with the times when we had to live with two different TV systems. Remember those days? I came from those days where I had to ask whether this system was built for NTSC or PAL. And that refers to whether one is 29.97 frames a second or 25 frames a second. And now you know how this applies to us in video land. In this modern era, the numbers don't really matter so much, because your video file your computer can play files in 30 frames a second, 60 frames a second, 29 frames a second. It is a non-issue now. It's not as if you're trying to play this on like an old, NTSC CRT monitor. I don't know, like those old-timey systems. But the general principle here I'm going to lay down is this: whatever comes in should be whatever goes out. If you have 1080p 30 frames a second video coming in, I should be getting 1080p 30 frames a second video coming out. What happens if you change those settings? The only exception is if you're to, let's say, have a 60 frames per second video that is you're editing. If you re-encode it and you export at 30 frames a second, you are essentially changing the way the video looks. It won't be hyper realistic anymore. Remember I said that 60 frames a second is the hyper realism kind of a feel to it. So you lose the hyper realism. It will now look like a normal 30 frames a second video. So that's maybe one of the things that helps to standardize video formats. I mean, if you need to change video formats or something. But anyway, that's an advanced class, so I won't bore you details now. Suffice it to say, just take a special note. If you don't understand, watch the video again. When we reach this part here, if you see 29.97 FPS, they really mean 30 frames per second. At the risk of sounding, I know I'm really oversimplifying this explanation, but and for the tech guys out there, I apologize. Jonathan, I know you're there, so sorry for botching this explanation big time. But so once you exported this file, what do you do now? You now have to send this video file up the chain. You're not the last person in the chain, remember? You are the second last person. You need to send this now to your leaders, your pastors, your worship ministry leads, your heads, and then go back and forth. There'll be a back and forth. There'll be hey, can you fade it a bit earlier? Can you fade out a bit earlier? Can you have 3 lines of lyrics instead of 2 lines of lyrics? Maybe they decide they want to change the lyrics up. So you are not done yet. This is the second last step of the process. You need to edit the video once amendments start coming in. Hey, make that line, make the lyrics be on screen for 2 more seconds. Now, leaders, I need you all to know something. Whenever you ask us to change one small thing, like maybe fade out the video 2 seconds faster, it's not a simple. It is a simple request, no doubts. But we have to export the video, and that adds to the processing time. It's not like we can instantly, just take out just make it fade 2 seconds faster, no problem, can do instant. It's not instantaneous. You actually have to make the change here and then you need to export the video out. So that takes a bit of time, and if you're on a lower powered computer system and you have a very, very long video, it takes a while. I've had to edit some of the webinar videos so far. If I make one change to a webinar video, I need to re-export a 1.5 hour long video, and a 1.5 hour long video takes about 2 hours to render on my computer because it's quite old. So yes, so leaders do take it. That's why tighter communication is very essential with the production team and your worship team and the leadership. The 3 parties should be talking to each other so that we minimize the editing phase at the end. It's okay if your video is 3 minutes long and you need to reformat and re-edit. That is not a big problem. But if you have a 1 hour long video, the edits can really stack up and take a lot of time. So that's one thing to note about leadership. I'm going to close with this, and then and then maybe I'll give, and then I'll hand over the time to Judith to close us. I'm going to close with this. So tonight, this evening, I hope you get an appreciation for the technical side of making a video. And sometimes in the thick of editing, in the thick of trying to put that subtitle in the correct place at the correct time, in the thick of trying to, that fade transition is just taking, I don't know why it doesn't look right, and no matter what I do, it just doesn't seem right. In the thick of that kind of battle in the creative process, I want you to know that your work is being valued. I want you to know that your work it's not. The great thing about video work is that once it's out there on social media, on your online platform, it's going to stay there, and it's going to be a reminder. It's going to help you to the great thing about video is that you can refer to videos again online. You can watch it. It's not transient. It's not like, oh, it's gone. Once I finish watching, it's gone. You can go back and rewatch again. Worship videos capture moments of worship. It sounds very duh, right? But in this social media environment where we are cluttering our feeds with videos of our baking escapades, pictures of our food that we order because of circuit breaker, the inclusion of a worship video in the midst of all that is going to be very refreshing for some people. I've received encouragements from fellow church members who, when they were feeling cooped up because of cabin fever, because of circuit breaker, they were feeling down, they were telling me that they watched the worship videos to be engaged, to be re-engaged in worship, to help them center themselves back, to realize that no matter how crazy this situation gets, I can still worship God. And these videos help to push us back into those moments of worship. I kind of think of them as Ebenezer stones. The Israelites had Ebenezer stones that they erected stones that they put into after they crossed the river. They erected these Ebenezer stones to serve as reminders for their generations after them that the Lord has been their help. And I think we want to use these videos as our Ebenezer stones, that after circuit breaker's over, or even if there are more situations that come our way this year, we can always rewatch these worship videos and re-engage with God in worship through them. And I hope that with this perspective, that you won't be discouraged, when the editing comes your way and you're like, wow, I have so many things to edit, and I feel like I cannot go on. Press on, carry on, because you never know how these Ebenezer stones will impact your community after they are released into social media. And as I said yesterday in the audio editing webinar, I'll close also with this: let's flood social media in the era of COVID-19 with worship, and let us take this opportunity that God has given us to invade digital space, to invade social media with worship. And I think this is something that we've been entrusted to do. Let's make a good job out of it.